So, hello humans, I am the Black Cat, and welcome to Weird Wednesday. This week, we look at the mystery of the green children of Woolpit. So, this story goes back to the 12th century England. There are two versions of the story as told by two different people, so some of the details are different depending on whose story you go for. Both stories have some differences, but the basic story of the children is pretty much the same. So what is the story, I hear you ask? Well, that's a good question, let me tell you. So the story goes that in a village called Woolpit in Suffolk, England, some reapers were working in a field when they heard strange noises coming from a wolf pit. When they went to check it out, they found two small children had fallen into the pit. The children were a boy and a girl. They wore strange clothing that the workers didn't recognize. They spoke a strange language that no one could understand, and they had green skin. So the workers took the children to a local landowner named Richard Decane, I think that's how you say the name, who took them in. They tried to feed them, but the children refused to eat anything. They apparently didn't eat for a couple of days until some of the workers brought a harvest of green beans to the house. The children would eat the beans and nothing else. Eventually, the girl would start to eat bread, and she gradually started to eat other food. However, unfortunately, the boy got sick and ended up dying. In the other version of the story, the boy also grew up, ate different food, lost his green hue and English, but there doesn't seem to be a record of him telling his story, so I'm not sure about that part. But anyway, the girl lived on. After a while, she lost her green hue and learnt to speak and understand English. She took on the name of Agnes. She apparently was described as being very wanton and impudent. So once the girl could speak English, she was questioned about her origins and how she came to be there. She said that the boy was her brother and they came from a place called St. Martin. She claimed that all the people there were green and the land was in perpetual twilight with no sun, but she didn't really know how to find her homeland. She said there was another luminous land that could be seen across a considerable river that separated it from their land. She says that she remembers one day her and her brother were looking after her father's cattle when they heard the sound of bells. So they decided to follow the sound, and it led them into a cave. Another version says that they followed the cattle into the cave, got lost, and they used the sound of the bells to guide them through the cave. Either way, they went through a cave. She said they walked for a long time following the bells, and when they came out the other side, they were blinded by the bright sunlight. They were dazed for a while until they heard the sound of the workers in the field. They got scared and tried to go back, but couldn't find the entrance to the cave that they came through. In trying to escape, they either fell into the wolf pit or they were found next to the wolf pit, and that's where the workers found them. So, what are the theories? Well, there are a few theories around these children and why they were green, so let's have a look. The first theory is hypochromic anemia, which is basically a blood condition in which red blood cells are paler than normal. Hypo meaning less, and chromic meaning colour. One of the symptoms of this is, you guessed it, green skin. It can be caused from being malnourished, for example, only eating green beans, which makes sense when you consider that once the girl started eating other food, she lost her green hue and developed a normal skin tone. Another theory is that the children were Flemish. So apparently in 1173, Flemish people were persecuted by King Henry II, and the children's family may have fled to the Thetford forest. I've probably mispronounced that. The forest being so thick that it may have seemed like twilight to the small children. The people may have had to survive on whatever they could find, so that may account for the green skin. Another factor that supports this theory is that the children may have come from Farnham St. Martin, and St. Martin Land. This would explain the strange clothes and language. However, it's been pointed out that Richard Decane was a well-educated man and would probably have been familiar with the language. Another theory is that it's a tale from folklore. The English have many tales of fae and woodland creatures, so this story may have come from another story of woodland people that has since been lost to history. Then, of course, there's the theory that they were aliens who travelled to Earth, and the land that is always in twilight actually refers to another planet. There's also a theory that they were from another dimension and travelled through some kind of wormhole. One fact that is for certain is that we may never know the whole truth of what happened and who those children were. The fact is, the children were also quite young at the time they were found, so even the girl who grew up may not have fully remembered or even understood where she came from and how she got there. The real question is, would we be happy knowing the full truth? Isn't a mystery better remaining a mystery? I don't know. That's just my thoughts. On one hand, I want to know what really happened, but on the other hand, knowing that would probably ruin the mystique about the story. So, I don't know. Either way, that's all I have for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know. Do you believe this story? What is your theory? Maybe do you want to know? Anyway, that's all I've got for now. So let me know your theories, and I'll catch you next time. See ya!